Hello everyone, this is Jotto, and welcome back to my Valiant Dawn set review. Now this is for Corruption, and as you can see, it is officially in the client now. Yes, I did all my pack openings and release podcast and blah. Basically, if you go check my Twitch below and go look at previous broadcasts, there's the podcast and the pack openings, and it's like 7 hours worth of stuff. Just fair warning. So I've had a very busy day, Spellweaver wise. But anyway, so who had corruption spoiled? Well, it was none other than Mr. Demons himself, Fuzz, who at first was very upset that Bezarok, the big demon of the set, had been put in the secret card, so he didn't get to spoil it exclusively. But as it turned out, there was another big demon that he really did like later on. But anyway, so considering we're now in the main client, this will now be ordered in terms of cost and not alphabetically like the last couple of set reviews were. Which reminds me, first thing before we start on corruption, couple of things that we've discovered work differently. First thing with Dominion Soul Flames, if I can go find this. I've gone past it. It sacrifices and gains life to base HP, not current HP. So it does not work with Power Seeker. So that's good. That's a good thing. And for Rage, the amendment to there was a new card that apparently Bolter just didn't receive. Wall of Flame, so I'll give a quick overview here. 2 mana, 1 red. Whenever a creature engages in combat, Wall of Flames deals 1 damage to that creature. Uncommon, at the start of your turn, sacrifice Wall of Flames. It's not very good. It's basically a bad old angelic song. It's just not very good. Don't really want to talk about this too much because it's the corruption video, and yeah, it's not really worth talking about. The other thing is the Apocalypse actually has 2 energy, not 0, so I think it's playable now. It might be decent because it does 4 to them, 6 to you, 6 to them. But when we did the podcast with Peacekeeper, he did say he tried this and it kind of just killed you against anything aggressive. So it's an anti-control card, but maybe not playable still. But still has potential large amounts of punch behind it. So with that out of the way, let's go on to the corruption cards. First things first, the Skill Shrine, Mausoleum of the Damned. 1 and 1 generic for the Rune of Darkness. 1 mana, 3 turn cooldown. Next turn, the next time you play a level 1 creature this turn, an enemy creature gets -1/-1/-1 until end of turn. So you can reduce speed, and it basically turns into a vermin that also reduces speed. What do I think of this? I think it's good. However, it has some very strong competition in corruption. You've got Haunted Cemetery and also Sanctum of the Void. So those are two very, very big powerhouse skill shrines that it has to replace, and I don't know if it can. It might, though. That's a powerful effect, especially if you're not playing basic Nepharos. It can be very, very crucial. If you're playing Enoch, for instance, I could definitely see this as being quite playable, whereas if you're playing basic Nepharos, probably not. So for demons, maybe, but you still have to play a level 1 creature. Yeah, actually maybe in demons, because they do have Nightbringer, which means that they can actually do something with the demons. So yeah, maybe. Alright, so I think this is actually probably the best of all the skill shrines for this set, and still might not see play, but that's mostly because of the other skill shrines and not because of the card itself. Enchained Soul, 1 mana, 1 corruption, common, 1/1 with 3 speed, flying, and slave. It's a spirit. Now, this is interesting. This is basically the corruption card that's also a token. There's a couple of these in every single, well, I think there's 1 in every single color. But in corruption, they have the Enchained Soul, so it's a slave as well. What do I think of it as an actual card? I don't like it as an actual card. The 3 speed is good, but the slave is awkward, and the 1-drops it's competing with are Zombie Legionnaire, Nightbringer for demons, and Vermin. So I don't think it makes the cut. Same pretty much goes for Trials. It's not very good in Trials. It's just a 1/1. You want more per card. So anyway, really flying through these. Totem of Tortures. Oh yeah, the corruption totems. Now this actually surprised me, as I have actually dropped something. But this actually surprised me because nature also got totems. So now corruption and nature both have totems. Now I'm not massively surprised, I guess, that they did, because the Herald was a Shaman. That was a while ago, though. It wasn't part of this set. So, yeah, it was a toss-up. What do I think of the actual totem? So, it is 1 mana and 1 corruption, common, 3 energy, and whenever you play a Shaman, or a Shaman enters the field, you can pay an energy, and if you do, they lose 1 life, you gain 1 life. End of turn, if it has no energy, sacrifice, as all totems. I don't know. 3 life drain over its duration is pretty decent, actually. But it seems a bit... It doesn't affect the board, which is a problem, because Shamans don't have issues draining out control decks. Shamans have issues not dying early game, and this doesn't help. So, well, it kind of does with life gain, but not a lot, so it doesn't really help. So, I don't think this is good. I don't think the Shamans in general have turned out very good, like, after this set, and I think they may actually be worse than they were before. But yeah, I don't really like the totem. Here's a card I do like. Abhorrent. I know what the word is, but I've never been able to say this word. Abhorrent, I think, is how you're supposed to say it. Abhorrent Ghoul. It's a word that comes up surprisingly often, and I can never say it properly. For those of you wondering, the reason I have such difficulty reading names is because I do have slight word blindness, which is nothing extreme, but it does come up when reading like words I don't see every day. So that's why it's almost a running gag on this on this channel. So I can't like read complicated names out loud. But anyway, so Abhorrent Ghoul, got it right that time. 2 mana, 1 generic with the common rarity, so Realm and Trials particularly. 3/3, 1 speed. Whenever Abhorrent Ghoul attacks, you lose 1 life. Keeps throwing me off. So, what do I think of this? Well, it either replaces Rotting Remains or Infected Survivor in zombies. The reason there's a toss-up there is because Rotting Remains is worse than this if you're playing basic Nepharos in most situations. Rotting Remains does allow you to hit 3 speed stuff, but it also dies to 2/2s. This does not. It's also pretty good with Mausoleum, and it could replace Infected if you want to go full damage, but I don't think that's necessary. I think having that 3 speed consume target is really important. So I think this replaces Rotting Remains, but the point is, it is a good zombie. It's a good zombie. The drawback is necessary because it's really, really good. Going Legionnaire into Ghoul is just nuts, and then you can go into another Ghoul, the Insatiable Ghoul. So that's just nuts. So I think that Mr. Abhorrent Ghoul is actually very, very good. For Trials, not so much. Unless you have basic Nepharos, I don't really like him. If you do have basic Nepharos, I think he's great, though. Haunt. 2 mana, 1 corruption, uncommon, attached to an enemy card whenever this whenever this card engages in combat, triggers, or uses an activated power, you may summon an Enchained Soul onto the field. So that's that token nature again. So basically, you put it on a creature or on a spell or something, and whenever it does anything, you make a token. Now, when you put this on Burning Rage, it's kind of funny, because it makes a token every single turn, and whenever they play a spell, it makes a token. The problem with that is that if they just give you 1,000,000 tokens, you can't use them because they're all slaves. The other funny one with this is you put it on the enemy's Ziara, and if they have it in play. But yeah, if your opponent is playing Ziara, you put Haunt on it, and then they attack, and it makes a soul that dies and triggers and makes a soul, and Ziara just breaks the game. I don't know if it stops at some arbitrary limit. I don't know if the clock ends and then it just finishes the attack. I don't know if the server crashes. Like, I have no idea what happens when you put Haunt on a Ziara. So yeah, no clue what happens there. We had Exotic in chat earlier today, and he said bad things, so I have no idea what actually happens there, and we'll have to see. I doubt it will ever come up, though. Haunt, though, I don't think is that good, because it's a bit of a do-nothing unless your opponent has Burning Rage, and I think they can still beat it if they do. So I don't really like this. It might be good with the spell later that stops people from attacking, but probably not. So anyway, on to the Curse of Risha. 2 mana, 1 corruption, and uncommon. When Curse of Risha enters the field, draw a card, and whenever the enemy hero plays a spell, that hero loses 1 life. A contender, but didn't quite win that, for worst card in the set. Yep, the Totem of Roggenok is also there. I proclaimed it worst card in the set in my Rage review, and I was wrong. There is a worst card in order. Yeah, I forgot about that. There is a worst card in order. So yeah, it's not the worst card in the set, 'cause it actually does something. Yeah, there's some worse cards coming, actually. But Curse of Risha is not good. It just cycles, and your opponent has to play like 5 spells for it to actually do anything. And the problem is you skip your second turn, and your play would have probably done 3 damage or more anyway. So I don't like it. Yeah, not really much else to say. Your opponent has to play spells. What happens if they're not playing spells? You lose. What happens if they're playing like Nature and only have Tornado and Outbreak? Well, you're dead. And what happens if they're playing a Dominion-based control deck? Well, they've got life gain, so you're also dead. So, yeah, not a very good card in my opinion. Death Cursed Shaman. Yes, a Shaman. 2 mana, 1 corruption, and it is common. 1/1, 2 speed. When Death Cursed Shaman dies, choose 1. An enemy creature gets -1/-1, and the enemy hero loses 2 life. As a Shaman, sure. As a Shaman, it costs 2 mana. That's decent, but there's other 2 mana Shamans, so that's not enough on its own. Does it do enough? No. No, it doesn't. I mean, it does give it... It's basically a weakness counter, by the way, unless that's worded wrong. Haven't seen this in play. I think it's till end of turn, but it might be permanent -1/-1, but it's not a weakness counter. Even then, I'm not sold on this. The reason for it is because it dies to everything, and it's not going to trade up much, and Infected Survivor is just a better version of this. So it's basically you're going to be playing as a Shaman. Yeah, I'm not fond of this, dude. I'm just not fond of this. Even with the -1/-1 permanently, yeah, I don't really like this guy. Sudden Death. Destroy a creature with HP less than its base HP for 2 mana and 1 corruption at common. Now, I thought this was trash. Now I think it's less trash, but I don't think it's that good still. The reason for it is Mausoleum of the Damned. That works really, really well with Sudden Death, and also works well with Vermin. The problem is you need a lot of card draw to get that to keep going. It does have instant attached to it, which doesn't really matter. I mean, you can use it as like a combat trick at the end of your opponent's turn, but yeah, it's not really that much of a bonus to this, because your combo potential still doesn't get helped by it, because the rest of your stuff isn't instant speed, apart from Vermin, I guess. So the reason I don't like it is you get 2 for 1. More often than not, you're getting 2 for 1, and I don't like that. Now, with something like Dominion, with weakness counters, you got 5 mana kill something. But Dominion already has that. So, yeah, it comes down to stuff like Fire Blast. Maybe that's worth it. Probably not, though. It's difficult to say if this will see any play, but I'm leaning on it won't. But I could be wrong, but I'm leaning on it won't. Swamp God Emissary. 3 mana, 1 generic, 3/2 with 2 speed. It is a Shaman at rare. When Swamp God Emissary enters the field, you may pay 2 mana to return a creature with 1 HP from the graveyard onto the field. Now, the funniest example of what to do with this is Flame Serpent. But that's not really going to happen. So what are you really doing with this? Well, you can resurrect another Shaman, get double triggers. You can get Mesmerizing Spirit, that can be useful. The problem is, wouldn't you rather just instill? That's the main thing. Would you rather just instill? Well, maybe not. Maybe not in a lot of cases. But the one I really like is playing this in mill, potentially, because you can get Vulture back. That could be pretty big. Getting Vulture back could be big. So Swamp God Emissary, if he sees play anywhere, outside of Shamans, which I don't think will work. If he sees play anywhere, I'm going to say he'll see play in mill. He can get Vulture and also Mesmerizing Spirit. There's a couple other things he can get, but I don't think those are really worth the price. Because he does essentially cost 5 mana. You get 2 bodies. Maybe I'm underestimating him. He is essentially a 2 cards for the price of 1. But yeah, I do like the design. I think he's really, really cool. Is he powerful enough? I don't know. I think it's worth testing, but I don't know. Because he's not very good on curve is the issue. He kind of has a second mode of being a 3-drop, but not really. He does get stuff like Infected Survivor back on turn 3. That could be potentially very, very good. But, I mean, not on turn 3, but later on. But he's not really a 3-drop, so that's... Yeah, we'll have to see. I think he's a good late-game grindy card, but I don't know if he's actually good enough. Duke Horford. 4 mana, 1 level, legendary, rare. 3/4 with 2 speed. Oh, the wall of text. I mean, I'm going to have to like explain this one carefully. When Duke Horford enters the field, return up to X zombies from the graveyard onto the field with a weakness emblem, where X is your corruption level. If a creature with a weakness emblem would die, put it on the bottom of its owner's deck instead, and if you have 2 corruption and 1 generic, when Duke Horford dies, you may pay 4 life to return it onto the field with a weakness emblem. Whew, that's a long text box. Now, if I was watching a Magic set review or something that had that box of text, this is when I'd pause the video to read it again. Because I have done that with cards before. But, like, this guy is really strong. But I'm just going to kind of explain what he does. So he brings back, say, if you play him at 4 mana 3 levels, he brings back 3 zombies in your graveyard with a weakness emblem. So basically, 1/1 Legionnaire, 2/2 Ghouls, or... It's kind of annoying, actually. So, how am I going to shortcut this? Because there's 2 Ghouls. It's probably easier to say Ghoul is the 2-drop, and then Insatiable is the 3-drop, because I have said Insatiable randomly before. I've also said Ghoul a lot, though, so... But anyway, you bring back the 3/3 as a 2/2, and then the Insatiable Ghoul as a 2/3. Yeah, those are the kind of stat lines. Necromancer, he's going to be really good to bring back, even with a weak emblem, because they're the deadly. But he comes back with a lot of stats, is the point. When they die, though, if he's in play, they just go to the bottom of the deck instead. That's to stop you from looping him continuously with his 3rd ability, because he has the extra ability of being able to pay 4 life to resurrect him as a 2/3. Now, if you have more zombies in your graveyard, you can bring them back. This guy is very strong, I think. Very, very strong. He does die to Harpy, which actually is kind of annoying. But he's very, very powerful. He brings in probably 2 to 3 bodies with him every single time. And if you play him with 3 levels, which you probably should, although you won't always, then you can pay 4 life to just bring him back as a 2/3. So he gets 3-for-1s, or 4-for-1s in some cases. This guy is super pushed and very, very powerful. One of those creatures, he made my, like... 8 or 9 cards of super strong cards that are probably pushed a bit too far. Granted, he barely made that list, but the point is he is definitely up there. He's very, very strong. You do have to play him with zombies, though. Yes, you can do crazy stuff with Hydra and things like that, but it's probably not worth it. You probably just play him with zombies, and this guy might single-handedly, well, maybe not single-handedly, you got the new Ghoul as well, but it might make zombies back into a force in the metagame. It hasn't been in a while. What's the one thing standing in his way? Demons, which is getting an insane buff, which we'll see in a little bit. So anyway, on to the 2-level cards. Eternal Servitude. Now, this was one of the secret cards, and I voiced what I thought about it then, and I guess I'll do it now. So it is a 2 mana, 2 corruption, uncommon, curse. Return a creature that died this turn from a graveyard, onto the field under your control as a slave, and attach Eternal Servitude to it. When Eternal Servitude leaves the field, sacrifice the creature it's attached to. This is bad. I thought it was bad. No one can get it to work. It's bad. It's basically just a really bad Advance Nepharos ability, and they can Tornado it back to their hand, or Landslide the Eternal Servitude, and then they get their creature back. Yeah, and it's a bad reanimate. It's just not good, okay? It just isn't good. There are other cards that do better things in this, like reanimate, that haven't seen extensive play, so this is just bad, and I'll leave it at that. It's seen 0 play since we got it, and it's just a bad card. Totem of Forsaken Thoughts. That artwork, it looks like the Helmet of Sauron. It just does. I love the artwork. 2 mana, 1 generic, and 1 corruption. No idea why I read it that way. Rare, 3 energy. It is a totem. Whenever you play a shaman or enter his field, you may pay 1 energy to look at the top 4. And you can take a corruption spell, not card, from them and put them into your hand. Rest go into your graveyard. At the end of turn, if it has no energy, sacrifice it. So it's basically card draw. However, it also self-mills you, which meant that me, Risha, and Fuzz were kind of talking about this. I'm like, do you maybe play Totem of Forsaken Thoughts in like a Reanimator deck where you can play this and maybe the Swamp God Emissary and Herald as your shamans? Because Herald's ability is optional, and you can play 8 shamans, maybe 7 shamans, and 3 Totem of Forsaken Thoughts, and just dump half of your deck into your graveyard. Maybe that works, but we kind of thought about it, and it's like, that seems like way too much effort just to self-mill, because you can do it with Void Touched, you can do it with Vulture, that's a lot more efficient. You can just discard stuff into the yard directly and draw and discard. That's what a lot of people have done for a long time. Yeah, it doesn't seem quite worth it. It is very interesting though. Does it work? Probably not, but maybe someone will try it. Probably won't be me, because it's not really my thing, but maybe someone will try it. Maybe it'll work. We shall see. A lot of decks to try out in future. Thought Devourer, 2 mana, 1 corruption, 1 generic, uncommon, 3/2 with 2 speed, flying, and when it deals combat damage to heroes, it decays cards, so the same ability as the Incarnate, and whenever Thought Devourer deals damage to a hero, put a Might Emblem on it. This is insanely good. Insanely good. So powerful. Partly because that last ability, you may think, oh, if it doesn't have a... No, it just gets bigger. And bigger. And bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's so hard to handle. And the... I mean, we had Peacekeeper on for the podcast, and he was talking about how this basically makes the mill curve work. Because you have Vulture, and then you've got Thought Devourer, and you can give it Swift, and then you basically have them with 7 cards in their yard at that point, or 8. And then your Incarnates are bigger, and Thought Devour is then a 4/3 that can get bigger, and it's a fast clock in Trials. It's so good, so incredibly good. It's also a demon, but I don't think this will be played because it's a demon. I think this will be played because Portal decks kind of kill themselves quite quickly. Although with the Doctor Sticks that we see later, you might actually be able to get Portal just to work with Mill because you don't kill yourself anymore. So Thought Devour is super, super good, and I think Mill decks will probably be around for 2 reasons. One, it gives you something to do against control, and you now have another way of killing control, because Incarnate doesn't really work against control. You got Thought Devourer now with Swift, and also because that Incarnate, Deathbound Incarnate, is the king of creature combat. That thing gets huge, and I think a lot of people are going to be playing more creatures now, which means Deathbound Incarnate is going to be way better. Also more ways of killing him now, but he's going to be really good. Okay, on to Spoils of War, one of the most disappointing cards in the entire set. This is just a trap. Anyway, 2 mana, 1 corruption, 1 generic, rare, it is a spell, non-instant. If 3 or more enemy creatures die this turn, choose 1. Draw 3, summon 3 Enchained Souls, or gain 3 life. First of all, there's a magic reference for you. Draw 3, gain 3, same cost. That's Healing Salve, Ancestral Recall, for those that didn't get that. But yeah, here's the problem. They have to lose 3 creatures. At once. It doesn't even count yours. If it was your creatures as well, I would say, good card. But they have to lose 3 creatures. Like, what happens if they never play 3 creatures? And then you can't kill them. It's hard to kill 3 creatures in Corruption. And, I mean, even if it did all 3, I don't think it'd be playable. Because it's so hard to get it to work. And if it is playable, then it becomes non-playable. Because they never play 3 creatures. Oh, jeez. Also, that artwork is the defeat screen, which is very fitting. Very fitting. Spoils of War has the defeat artwork. It's just not good. It just isn't good. Even if it did all 3. Draw 3, gain 3, summon 3 1/1s. They just never play 3 creatures, and that plays around it. Ugh, it's just bad. It's just bad. I don't like this thing at all. And before anyone was like, Cataclysm, Spoils of War, yeah, they've got better ways of drawing now with Clone Vat, and they also have Ancient Wisdom, which in Wisdom Dominion can draw 2 for the same cost, but they don't have to lose 3 creatures, and you only gain 1 extra card for it. Yeah, I don't like this guy. I do not like this card at all. I think it's really bad. Good try, but didn't get there. Shrieking Banshee. 3 mana, 1 corruption, 1 generic, 2/2 with 2 speed and flying. Whenever Shrieking Banshee enters the field, summon an Enchained Soul onto the field for each creature that has died this turn. Now, this is where Spoils War is even more awkward on that second mode, where if 3 of their guys died, Shrieking Banshee is just better than that second mode. You get a 2/2, you get probably 4 Enchained Souls because you had to trade one of your own guys. Yeah, you get the idea. So, where do I like Shrieking Banshee? Not in normal corruption. I could be wrong, but I don't like it in normal corruption. The reason is because you need a board. Like, if you just traded your board and you make Shrieking Banshee and it's like, oh my god, it's insane, you get like 4 Enchained and then none of them can attack. It's also not bad, I guess, if you get 1 Enchained, but it's competing with Harpy at that slot. So is it an aggro deck that's playing this? Maybe competing with Necromancer and Tombs as well. I think it has to get 2 or 3 Enchained Souls to be really worth it. Again, I could be wrong, it's hard to evaluate these cards, but I think it needs to get pretty good value to be good. And I don't think it quite gets that often enough. It does require the stars to align a little bit. Now, where do I think this could be good? Well, there's a card later that makes Enchained Souls able to attack and nothing else able to attack. So, yeah, it could be good there maybe, because they flood the board and then you... I don't know, you can start sacrificing your own stuff and then making a change. I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult, and I think it looks decent, but I'm not convinced. Decent Corrals card, though. Oh boy. The best corruption card by a country mile. Underworld Scourge, also known as Dr. Sticks. Yes, this guy is Dr. Sticks. 4 mana, 1 corruption, 1 generic, rare, 4/2, 2 speed, unstoppable. When Underworld Scourge enters the field, destroy a creature or artifact with mana cost 2 or less. It's a demon, and it has another ability. 2 corruption, 2 generic, Underworld Scourge gets +2/+2. First of all, Dr. Sticks, the reason for it is, well, he looks like he's made of sticks. He does. He looks like he's made of sticks. Everything on him is sticky. No. Sticky as in terms of made of sticks, not sticky as in honey. Yeah. Anyway, so he looks like he's made of sticks. He's also meme-worthy beyond belief. We've already had a Photoshop of him with a top hat and a monocle pointing at the fire saying, you appear to have a fire under your building. He'd also look hilarious with a sombrero because he has the Mexican moustache. He also has the Confucian-like facial hair with the beard thing as well, and the scarred eyes. Yeah, most meme-worthy are in the set. That is for sure. Most meme-worthy are in the set. As a card, though, he's insane. I think he's top 3 cards of the set. Top 3, in my opinion, of the set. His abilities are just ridiculous. The first ability, Unstoppable, doesn't sound too good until you realize his third ability makes him a 6/4 late game. He's a beating late game. He hurts. And that is not even the reason you play him. The reason you play him is that second ability. Destroying any creature, it's not a May ability, it's mandatory, keep in mind. Destroy any creature or artifact with mana cost 2 or less. That is huge! That is huge! You destroy Cloning Vat, you destroy Thaumic, is it Thaumic Reflector? I've said Reflector the entire, last year. I need to go check this, because that's annoying me. It is Thaumic Reflector, right? Yeah, thought so. I just haven't said the entire name of that card. It's like Phoenix. Massication is the first one. That's another name I've had to look up before, because you never say it. But yeah, what does he kill? Well, this actually... Let's just go into artifacts, just to start off. Well, he kills basically the entirety of One Turn Heal single-handed. Just massacres it. Takes out Reflector, Reactor, and Obelisk. Just destroys the deck completely. Outside of that, Portal, that's the big one. He's a demon that kills Portal. That's insane. That's ridiculous. And when I said the mill deck earlier might be playing Portal now, it's because, well, you play Portal, first activation you get Vulture. Then you get your demon, your mill demon, and then you get Dr. Styx, or maybe the new multicolor demon if you're playing Rage, but you're probably playing Nature. But anyway, the point is you get Dr. Styx after that and destroy your portal, because why do you need it anymore? You take 6 damage from it, that hurts, but you probably just won the game. So even then, like, you can just take 3 damage from portal to get a Vulture and a Dr. Styx, so you pay 2 mana to tutor 2 specific cards and play them for less. That's an incredible card, and it's very, very strong. And the other big one is Cloning Vat. The fact that it kills Cloning Vat is insane. I actually played with Cloning Vat today, and the card is bonkers. It's ridiculously good. Probably the best card in the set, along with Prinha, who I also played with, is also insane. So it answers one of the best cards that will be played, and it also works perfectly with Portal. Perfectly with Portal. Also makes Demon Mirrors really strange. But yeah, it works perfectly with Portal. So, what else does it kill? That's just the artifacts. What else does it kill? Spell Warden without being a spell. That is massive, because it means you can start consuming. Or if you're playing Mill, Landslide gets opened again. Fits into Hate Bears probably, because Hate Bears now have a way of getting past stuff like Namir and Spell Warden and the entire Angel deck. Because it's a 6/4. It's a 6/4 that kills Namir. It takes over the whole game when you play against Angels. It's so powerful. Like, this is definitely the card that you can talk about the most out of the powerhouse cards. It is so, so strong. Do not underestimate this thing. It's so, so good. That third ability is so unnecessary. One of the best cards in the set. Top 3 in my opinion. And definitely the best corruption card. Reign of the Underworld. 3 mana, 2 corruption, 2 generic, legendary epic. Enchained soul creatures are no longer slaves. All other creatures become slaves, and each slave creature has 2 mana. Sacrifice this creature to summon an enchained soul. This is the most cancerous card. I was about saying the set, but it might be they have ever made. I don't know, because 2 mana lamp is pretty bad, but like, now that's really bad. Now, I don't think this is broken. I don't think it's overpowered. I do think it is possibly the most irritating card ever created. It doesn't even help you out that much. That's what's insane about it. It is literally just an angelic song that's permanent. It's just annoying. It's just annoying. Like, you have... Why isn't it good, though? The reason it isn't good is well, if it dies, you lose. It also dies to Cloning Vat, because they just keep making Enchained Souls and attacking you, so that's a thing. And it doesn't actually do anything on its own. Like, they can still amass a board, and then just sacrifice 3 of them and attack with the rest in the same turn. So it doesn't actually do anything on its own. However, if you have Harpy and Rain in play, nothing's going to happen for the rest of the game. That's just ridiculous. Outside of double Cloning Vat, but that's Cloning Vat. It's very annoying. It's not even that good because it doesn't give you anything on its own. Like, it really does nothing for you. You're just 3 mana down. If your opponent can just keep going, you're not going to use this in any form of creature deck whatsoever. This is basically a card that says, I'm going to stall indefinitely. It also... You instantly lose to nature, because you play Rain, they play Unicorn or Landslide, the game's over. So it's not overpowered, but it is definitely possibly the most irritating card they've ever made. Like, it is really bad. It's basically a permanent angelic song. I really don't like this card. I think that... I don't like that it exists. I just don't. I don't like that it exists. It doesn't really offer you anything as the person that plays it outside of stalling. And that's, I mean, I've gone on record saying that's really stupid before, and yeah, it's dumb. It does almost single-handedly beat Vamplamp, but I don't think Vamplamp will even be played moving forward. It might do, but until VAT gets changed, I don't think it's necessary. The reason it basically kills Vamplamp is, yes, they can play a creature, and then, yeah, okay, we get it. They can play a creature, sack it, attack. How many times can they do that? 2? 3? Maybe? And if they have 2 lamps, they can't attack with both anymore. Yeah, it does basically shut down Vamp Lamp. You can still get attack through, but it's difficult. And if they have it in Chainsaw, you can't get damage through, and that's a lot of mana at that point. You need to play a creature, it probably costs 3 mana. Sacrifice, that's 5. Lamp activation, that's 7. And you have to do something else. Like, outside of Scatador's bidding, you're not really getting a lot here. So, yeah. I don't like this card at all. I don't think it's that insane, but I really don't like it exists. Last corruption card, one of the secret cards. Bezarok, Abyss Gatekeeper. 5 mana, 3 corruption, the most costly card in the entire game. 1 generic, legendary, epic, 4/3 with 2 speed. Choose one. When Bezarok enters the field, the enemy hero sacrifices creatures with a combined level of at least 3. That means they have to sacrifice until all of their creatures that they sacrifice combined have 3 levels. So 3 goblins, a CFC, a relic guard, a Namir, you get the idea. 3 levels. When Bezarok dies, summon demons with a combined level of 3 onto the field. That means 3 vultures, 3 nightbringers, Dr. Styx and a nightbringer, you get the idea. A succubus, etc. Oh boy, poor Bezarok. I didn't like him before. He got a bit stronger because of the new demons that help with Mill and also Dr. Styx, but he's just not very impressive anymore. Like, at all. He got so overshadowed. Like, think about it now. If you went first and go, like, God Draw, like, you go absolutely insane, or like even going second with New Horizons, you go insane, you get the reanimate on the Bezarok on turn like 4, it's insane, he sacks like a creature, and then your opponent's response is a 5/5 Minotaur on curve. Yeah. He's just not impressive, is he? Because he doesn't get both effects, he only gets one. He just isn't impressive, and you can't really use the second effect because of Helm. Yeah, I don't like this guy at all anymore. I really don't. I do not like this guy at all, and I think even Fuzz, who was really advocating for this guy, after seeing the rest of the cards in the set, he's just not impressive anymore. Like, at all. He should at least, like, I think he would probably be fine at 4 levels and 4/4. Like, straight mana less, increased HP, and he would still be fine. He wouldn't be overpowered. He'd still be fine. I think Bezarok is, yeah, I think they were a bit too careful with this guy, and yeah, he's just not that good. He just isn't. He's not very hype. He's just, I don't want to call him a bad card, because yeah, when you play him, yeah, he does a lot when you actually play him. Okay, he does a decent amount. He does like a Karthus amount. He's not like Ziara, who's just bad, but Bezarok just isn't impressive anymore and is not worth the 5 mana, 4 levels, 3 of which have to be corruption you need. And he could potentially fit in Drain Darius, but they've got a ton of other stuff they want. And I mean, he's even smaller than the Dr. Styx himself now, who becomes a 6/4 at 4 levels. So yeah, poor Bezarok. Bit of a low note to end on, but what do I think of corruption? I think it's one of the better balanced aspects. I think there's some really good cards in it. Duke Horford is a highlight. Underworld Scourge, the Dr. Styx himself, is a big highlight. And then you got Thought Devourer. Those are good cards. Not much else, but I mean, you got 3 good cards. You got the Abhorrent Ghoul and also the Mausoleum. Those are potentially playable. So corruption overall was pretty good. They got some very good cards. They got probably second place in terms of all the. The aspects. Like, Rage and Corruption, I think, are roughly equivalent. I think Rage might have been slightly better. Maybe. I think Rage and Corruption are about equivalent. Yeah, it's difficult to tell. But I think Dominion was, out of the 3 we've done so far, and actually accounting for the good factions as well, but I haven't done those in video form yet. Dominion, Corruption, Rage. I think that's the way I'm going to put it, just because, like, Corruption's power cards are really impressive, whereas in Rage it's like Erlac, and that's about it in terms of the super impressive stuff. The rest is just kind of generically good. Yeah, so I'm going to say Dominion, Corruption, Rage as my rankings of the 3 I've done so far. But anyway, Thank you all for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any feedback or ask me any questions, put it in the comment section below. I will put an image link to every corruption card in the description, like I did with the previous ones. If you want to support the channel directly, there is a link to my Patreon in the description, along with a 75k gold referral code for new players. That also gives you the Disquisitive Spirit Card Back. But as now, it's been Jotto, signing off.